Hey, how's it going everybody? ExpatStacker, and in this video we're going to be talking about gold and silver and whether or not they're investments. This is a topic I've touched on in the past, even in some of my earliest videos several times. A lot of people hold the belief that they're not. I'm of the opposite opinion. Before we get into it though, I do want to mention a couple of things. First, I have started my Twitter account, which is connected with this channel. The reason I started it is because I wanted to let everybody know the other day about a coin that has a lot of anticipation. That's the Gods of Olympus Hades release, because I was subscribed to get the email when it became available from LPM, but I just checked it, daily, a few times a day and manually, and I actually saw it like an hour before the email actually came to my account. And I was like, man, I should make a video and let everybody know about this. But I didn't have time. My wife just had a baby and I'm about to change jobs, got a bunch of things going on. So I didn't have time to make a video. So I thought, what's a good way to do this? Yeah, I could have done it on Instagram, but I feel like Twitter is a better platform to reach out to people on that. Up until this point, I haven't been on Twitter. Every time I hear about Twitter on, the media or whatever, it's always a negative thing, so I've just avoided it. But I'm gonna try it out and use it to let people know about, precious metals related things, and also maybe world events, news related things. I've done my news show, the weekly restack, but I haven't been able to do it recently because I've been so busy with just life events and so on. But I do sometimes want to share with you guys, what things that I see going on in the world, because the way I see things being out here in Korea, it's oftentimes quite different than what I think people see in the United States. So I'll be using my Twitter for that. The link will be in the description. You can go ahead and check that out. Subscribe to me on there, follow me on there, whatever. And also would like to let you know about a channel. A lot of my subscribers I saw in his comment sections already, so maybe you already know about it, but Silverstruck, really awesome channel. The guy's a veteran stacker. He has a lot of wisdom, a lot of interesting videos, thought-provoking videos, and just a wealth of knowledge, and really good stuff. So go ahead and check out Silverstruck. Leave a link in the description to his channel as well. I let him know that ExpatStacker sent you over there if you've never heard of him before, and if you have, congratulations. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the topic for today's video. So recently I saw a video from my buddy Clean Money, aka the artist formerly known as Silver Britches. And in it, he discusses why he thinks silver and gold bullion, just the stuff for stacking, like generics and eagles, stuff like that, not investment coins, not numismatic coins, just the stacking gold and silver, are not investments. So that's why we're looking at eagles and generics and stuff here today. No numismatic stuff, no semi-numismatic stuff, just the straight up stuff for stacking. So he says that this is not an investment, and I know a lot of people in the stacking world hold this same opinion. I am of a different opinion. So I think they are investments. And by the way, I just want to make one thing clear, that these are just opinions. I like Silver Bridges, aka Clean Money. I've had him on my podcast before. I talked to him. He's a super, really down to earth, respectable, cool guy. Just really awesome. Okay, so this is not me trying to call him out or trying to debunk him or dunk on him or it's no drama stuff. I'm just sharing a different perspective, that's all. So I'm not trying to do anything disrespectful, nothing like that. So just to be clear. So as I said, he does make the distinction between investment coins and stacking coins, so that's important. I want to make sure that I try to paraphrase what he said in his video as accurately as I can. And you should go watch his video. I'll leave a link to that also in the description. But basically he says, and I've heard this a lot in the stacking world, that gold and silver are not investments because they're just a way to save and a hedge against inflation, but they don't turn a profit, they don't pay dividends or anything like that. So he uses an example of his phone, and in his video he shows a Samsung phone, and I'm going to show this Apple phone here just to kind of mirror along with what he did in his video. I'm recording this on a Samsung, so it's I got both. But he basically says that he buys Samsung products and Apple products because he needs them for his life and his small business and his work, and he says that those are not investments in the company. And while I agree they're not investments into Samsung or Apple company, I would argue that if you're using a device for your small business, that is an investment. He also says he buys a lot of Starbucks, but that doesn't mean he's invested in that company either. Now, I think comparing coffee to a mobile device isn't really a good comparison because one's basically a luxury. I mean, Starbucks coffee we can definitely live without. The other one is necessary to run a business in this day and age, especially in the United States. So I don't think those two are really great examples to compare, especially with gold and silver, because one's basically, you know, a consumer luxury and the other one is kind of a necessity, an economic necessity, especially if you're running your small business with it. So just wanted to point that one out there. But his point is taken. Okay, you're buying the product, you're not actually buying the company. All right, so then he goes on to say that this is similar to how gold and silver aren't investments and that they are just saving vehicles and hedges against inflation. He says if you want to invest in gold and silver, you can invest in mining companies. But remember, he compared buying a Samsung product or an Apple product to not being invested in Samsung or Apple. And to actually invest in Samsung, you would have to buy their stock because that's the real way to be invested in their business. And I agree. If you want to invest in Samsung's business, you have to buy their stock. However, I disagree that buying one of their products specifically for work is not an investment in itself. It is an investment if you are using it to run your business. If you're doing something financially to achieve a desired outcome with some sort of expected return or reason for doing it financially, not just consuming something like coffee, then I would consider that to be an investment. So you spend your cash on it and you have a desired outcome in mind. So when you purchase a mobile device in order to run your business, you're expecting that you're going to get some returns on that later on, right? So that's an investment. You're investing in technology to run your business. And with gold and silver, we're not investing in them with the expectation that we're going to receive a dividend or that these things are going to grow the way a company grows by creating new products and new services and creating value. However, as a hedge, they grow in another way, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But I want to make a few points here. First, by buying a share of a mining company, which is the way that Silver Bridges says you can invest in gold, you're not investing in gold, you're investing in a mining company. And that's not investing in gold and silver. It's investing in a business that's closely related to gold and silver, but it's a business that you're investing in, not gold and silver, plain and simple. And that makes it subject to all the same risks as any other business that's publicly traded. The business could go bankrupt, they could split their shares, they could merge with another company, they could get taken over by another company. And especially mining companies, as far as I know, their profit margins are razor thin, and they're subject to a lot of difficulties. So investing in a mining company, and I am invested in some mining companies as well as some other types of companies that provide raw materials, industrial materials like steel and stuff like that. That's a huge industry here in South Korea. It's not the same thing as investing in gold and silver. It just isn't. You're investing in something that's related, but like actually buying a mobile device to invest in your small business is an investment in your business. It's not the same as buying a share of Samsung, then you're investing in Samsung business. So that's the same thing here. When you invest in gold and silver, there's a reason why you're doing it. A hedge against inflation, a savings account, or whatever your reason is. There's a desired outcome there, a financial outcome. And that's different than investing in a company that helps to, extract this from the earth. That's a company you're investing in, not the actual commodity. So there's investing in a company and investing in this actual physical thing. So, and like buying a Samsung device for your small business is an investment for your business, not Samsung business. I believe that buying physical gold and silver is also an investment in yourself and your finances. And that's what makes gold and silver such a unique asset. There's nothing else like it. Now, whether you tend to agree with me or Silver Bridges more, I think really depends on your interpretation of the word investment. I think people who tend to subscribe more to SB's school of thought, and this is also Warren Buffett's, what he said about gold. So, I'm thoroughly outmatched here. I'm not trying to pretend like anything else. I have the world's greatest investor and one of the larger YouTube channels in the stacking community against me, and I know I'm in the minority here, but people who subscribe to that school of thought, they think that because gold and silver don't pay a dividend and because they don't grow as in value the same way a company does, that they aren't investments. But I just tend to believe that that's a little bit too narrow of a definition of what an investment is. If you've been following my channel for any period of time, you probably know I do invest in the stock market. And, if you look at the balance sheets of companies, which you can do, relatively easily, just go on Bloomberg and you'll see how much they invest, how much they have debt to asset ratio. Now, what are those investments? Are they building a new production facility? Are they putting more of their revenue toward R&D? Or, what are they doing? Whatever the case may be, those things also don't pay dividends and don't directly make the company grow. And growth is not even always necessarily the right move for a company either in business. Sometimes businesses need to take up a more defensive position, maybe to fend off competitors or to maintain their foothold in a particular market, deal with rising input costs, whatever the case may be. Putting capital towards something with the expectation that it'll help your company in the future is the definition of investment that I subscribe to and that businesses use to disclose how they're doing. And that doesn't always mean that they're paying out dividends. It means that they're buying machinery, equipment, literally trying to build factories or something like that. So that's a definition of investment that doesn't fit in with, getting dividends or achieving a certain level of growth. And I think there are a lot of different definitions of investing that also don't fit with just necessarily receiving a dividend or growing. So, I and many other stackers expect that gold and silver, whether it's a savings or a hedge against inflation or intergenerational wealth or whatever the reason is, the expectation is that gold and silver will help us do something financially in the future, and that's why we do it. And there are also cryptocurrencies that pay dividends. In fact, when I interviewed SB on the Silvercast, he mentioned one of them, but the most popular ones and the most stable ones do not. There are expectations that they may grow, and in fact they have. But these assets are very often compared to digital gold. Now, I disagree with that comparison, and I've stated why multiple times. But I would say that Bitcoin, for example, is much more similar to gold than it is to any, particular business or stocks in a business. So putting money into crypto, is that investing or not? Because it doesn't pay a dividend, and yeah, it grows, but I mean, the value of this has also steadily grown over time as well. So I don't really see the difference, except for one is more volatile and new and unknown. But people often say invest in your future when they talk about something like serving in the military or going to college or doing something to improve the value of your human capital. And some people may say like, oh well, that's just, they don't mean, it's just a figure of speech when they say that. They don't mean it literally. But no, I tend to take it quite literally, because you have to spend a lot of time and sometimes a lot of money to do those things, with the expectation that you're going to become a better person who's able to have a higher net value and contribution to society. So it's not just a colloquialism when people say invest in your future. It's quite literal. I mean, people take out massive loans, and again, college isn't going to pay you dividends while you're attending it or anything like that. And while you do get paid to serve in the military, there's an opportunity cost there as well. So that brings me to the next point, which is that actually anything you do that involves an opportunity cost when it comes to finances, I'm not talking about eating breakfast or anything like that, but when it comes to converting your cash into some sort of asset, anything you do could kind of be considered an investment. People say time is money because a lot of people see time as a limited resource that needs to be carefully used. And are you going to invest your time to go to the grocery store or shop online and have the groceries delivered and use that time to do something else? I mean, there's an opportunity cost in everything you do, really, but especially when you're putting your cash toward gold and silver. You could be investing that in shares, but instead you're choosing to invest it into a safe, proven asset that has a track record of thousands of years. Gold and silver don't increase in value necessarily the way businesses create new value, as I said, and it grows. Businesses grow their market cap and their value by, again, adding new products, just growing. But the value of gold and silver is it does so relative to fiat currencies, hence the hedge against inflation line that everyone likes to cite. So in this way, gold and silver don't do anything, but they don't need to do anything. They're not supposed to do anything. And SB kind of acknowledges that in his video. But I mean, they are what they are, and their growth or increase in value is determined by what happens with fiat currencies. And we all know what happens with fiat currencies. So they don't really need to do anything to increase in value the way a company does. A company has to perform. A company has to show that they're making more money than they were before. Gold and silver don't have to do that. So, I mean, this is kind of similar to if you're shorting a company in the stock market. You're hedging against that company. You're saying that instead of believing that that company is going to grow, you believe that it's going to shrink, that it's weak, that it's not going to grow. And is that not an investment? Just because it's not the same as buying a share and holding on to it and getting a dividend? I mean, you can make money that way as well. And I kind of think that that's sort of how gold and silver operate. It's almost like a short. Instead of shorting a company, you're shorting a fiat currency. Now, the life cycle of fiat currencies is quite longer, but still, it's still, you're putting your money toward this because you think it's going to be more valuable that way in the future. So it increases its value by not doing anything, because it doesn't have to do anything, like the way how companies do. Now, perhaps gold and silver are more forms of insurance than anything else. But what is insurance? It's essentially a fund that you contribute to regularly along with other people that will save you from financial devastation if or when something happens. So, again, I believe that's an investment. Now, you're investing in that for your own sake or for your family's sake. And if you want to invest in an insurance company, you can do that as well through the stock market. However, the actual insurance for you is an investment. You know, you're protecting yourself against something. That's what this is. That's what shorting companies can be interpreted as in a way. And, you know, I just tend to think that these are investments. Now, I could sit here and talk about this all day long. And actually, I had been thinking about making this video anyway. But since my buddy SB talked about it, I was actually writing a long comment on his video, and I got the phone call from my wife because she had been over at her mom's house, and she's like, it's go time. So I had to shut the comment down, shut the computer off, and go because it was time for the baby. So yeah, maybe silver britches is good luck. But yeah, man. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it. I do tend to think that gold and silver are investing, but that really just depends on your interpretation and your definition of the word investing. So I'm very curious to hear about what you guys think. I saw a lot of people a lot of channels and stuff that I know who are saying like, yeah, I agree. You know, it's not an investment and stuff like that. But now after hearing, you know, another opinion, what do you think about it? Or do you have perhaps another opinion that's not Silver Britches, aka Clean Money, and not ExpatStacker's opinion, but maybe something else? So yeah, guys, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section sharing your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. I think it is good to think about this stuff because how do you balance, you know, how much gold and silver you have versus stocks versus cryptos, you know, versus bonds and real estate and whatever else you might be invested in. It's important to think about how these different asset classes perform under different conditions and why you're investing in them. It's very, very important to do so. And so that's part of why I wanted to get this discussion going, because it's good for you to have your own original thoughts and opinions on it and not just take whatever ExpatStacker or anybody else on YouTube or wherever TV says. You have to understand for yourself. You know, you have to control your mind or it's going to control you. So it's very good for you to have your own definitions and understanding of these things set up. And, you know, I learn from other people all the time. There's another channel I wanted to shout out, but I'm going to save it for the next video. And yeah. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this, and hope everybody's doing very well. I appreciate all the love you guys have shown me as it relates to the birth of my child. Everything is going well. I'm very lucky. I am infinitely grateful. And with that, much love and respect.